Hi, do you know how to tell if your relationship is toxic or not? So today's video is about 3 easy ways to tell if your relationship is toxic. My name is Sara Slaybaugh. I am a relationship coach. I help single Christian women thrive while they're single while learning how to find a loving and supportive relationship. So let's get into today's topic. So the 3 easy ways to tell if your relationship is toxic. This can be hard to tell. Sometimes it is looking back that we see that there are some easy signs along the way. And if you know these signs, they can help you evaluate your next relationship to see if it's healthy for you or not. So I call these the 3 S's. So we're going to go through the 3 S's, the 3 ways to tell if your relationship is toxic or not. So number 1, safety. Do you feel safe in this relationship? This is a big one. This does not have to just be physical safety, but we're going to talk about that one at first because it's the most obvious one, right? So a definite sign of a toxic relationship is one where you feel unsafe, where you feel like the other person is putting you in harm's way, where you feel like there are dangerous things going on, where you feel threatened. And this could be for you or your children if you're a mom, okay? So when you feel that the other person may hurt you or your children, you do not feel safe around them. This is a sign that your relationship is toxic, okay? If you've told the person that you don't feel safe in a certain situation and they keep putting you in that same situation, that is a sign of an unhealthy relationship. There can also be financial safety here. So I've heard stories of people that did not know that their spouse was not paying the mortgage for months, and they're literally potentially not going to have a roof over their head. Or they're gambling, thousands of dollars and draining all of the money, or they feel like they have to give an actual receipt for every single tiny purchase, okay? This is different than just having a budget with your partner, or just say, hey, maybe we spent too much money on this, let's adjust that. Or, hey, could you not spend so much money without talking to me first? There's some couples that say, if we're going to make this amount of money on a purchase, let's discuss it for beforehand. So this is not an instance where we're talking about something like that. It's when you feel like you financially don't have any say, or you don't know what's going on, because that can also be a safety issue if you feel like you literally are not going to have a roof over your head, okay? So like I said, the physical safety is the one that people more so gravitate towards, but there are different kinds of safety, right? And God does not want us in situations, relationship situations, where we feel like we are being put in danger, okay? This is also differently than the Bible telling us that we will be persecuted for our faith. People, missionaries maybe that are in situations or places that's unsafe. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, in a relationship with another person, do you feel like you are safe and secure, okay? So we hear in the Bible that God is our refuge, that he is our strong tower, that he's a place of safety, that the righteous run to it and are safe, okay? We hear in Ephesians that it says, of course, husbands, love your wives as Christ loves the church, right? He wants the best for her. He wants to take care of her, okay? So these are some places that you can go to evaluate, is this relationship toxic or not? So the number 1 way to tell is safety. Do you feel safe? Let's go down to number 2 then. Number 2 is speech. Okay, I love this one because it actually is pretty easy to tell if you think about it and if you evaluate it in your relationship. Do you feel like you have freedom of speech in that relationship? So in a toxic relationship, you don't have freedom of speech generally. There's certain subjects that you're not allowed to talk about. There's certain things that you avoid sharing your opinions on. It's like you're walking on eggshells, tiptoeing around, thinking, is this okay for me to share or not? Okay. You feel like if you bring up something, the other person won't converse about it. You feel like everything you say might be wrong. Okay, you have thoughts like, I should just keep this opinion to myself, because you're anticipating what the other person is going to do or say. That is another sign of a toxic relationship, by the way, having to anticipate the other person's behaviors, okay? But we'll get to that in another video. So if you feel like you don't have freedom of speech in a relationship, I have an example of this in one of my relationships I was in. I felt that the pattern was I couldn't share certain things because I would kind of get shut down. I just wouldn't get any kind of help from the other person or any kind of loving response, basically. And I remember I was upset about something, and it didn't have anything to do with the relationship. And the person asked me what was wrong, what I was upset about. And in my head, I went through, I could share this, I could be vulnerable, I could, share this part of myself and what's wrong. But based on the past, I knew I probably wouldn't get anywhere with it. I probably would get rejected. I probably would not feel better after sharing it. But I wanted to make the relationship work, and I thought I'll try again. I'll put myself out there and try again. So I explained what was upsetting me in the relationship, and the other person literally said, "Oh," and turned around and walked away. So that is an example of not having freedom of speech. Yes, I could say what I wanted to say in that situation, but it was shut down then. There was no response, okay? I didn't feel like we were going to have a conversation then because, in fact, the conversation was shut down, okay? So that's another way to look at it. If the other person is having defensiveness, stonewalling, gaslighting, criticism, making you feel like you're dumb for sharing this opinion or having this opinion, that's a sign that you don't have freedom of speech in the relationship, okay? It says in the Bible again, 1 Peter 3:7, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way, showing honor to the woman as a weaker vessel. So husbands are supposed to live with us in an understanding way, and we're supposed to live with them in an understanding way, right? It's a two-way street, but it says in an understanding way. You can't live with somebody in an understanding way if you do not have the freedom of speech to converse in the relationship. We get to a place of understanding by being able to ask questions, by being able to say what we think or feel, by conversing with the other person. And we can't live in an understanding way if the other person won't allow us to get to that place of understanding. If they don't want to understand us, we can't make that happen on our own, right? It says in Colossians 3:19, don't be harsh with them. So, this goes back to the physical safety also, but we can use it here with the speech to not be harsh with each other. And so if you feel like your speech is constantly being shut down or criticized or any of those things that I mentioned, that's an example of somebody being harsh with you, and that's not what God has for us, right? So you can evaluate your speech in your relationship, or if you're dating somebody new or seeing, how it goes, or just trying to get to know somebody, you can think, do I really genuinely feel like I have freedom of speech in this relationship or not? Now, this is different than you might have a conflict with somebody and maybe somebody said something that was a little bit harsh, or maybe there was a disrespectful tone, or, I recently had a conversation with my husband where I needed to then apologize because I felt like I was disrespectful. I had a disrespectful tone, so I had to apologize. I'm not talking about instances like that. I'm talking about you have a pattern of this person doesn't allow you to speak your mind, or this person constantly is rude or disrespectful to you, okay? So it's kind of like a pattern as well, okay? So the second way to tell if your relationship is toxic is, do you feel like you have freedom of speech in the relationship? Let's go down to number 3 then. So I told you there were 3 S's. So this one is support. Do you feel supported in the relationship? If you were sick, do you feel like the other person would care for you? Does the other person have your back? Do you feel like they're there, rooting for you? They're on your side? Or do you feel like they're on maybe an opposing side? That's not a good sign if you feel like they're on an opposing side, okay? If you have a goal, whether it's like a business goal, or maybe it's a goal that you want to dig deeper in your faith, or do another Bible study so that you can grow more, maybe meet with some people occasionally, with friends, or for like a small group or something like that. Maybe you have a goal that you want to lose weight, or you want to exercise more, or you want to eat better. Is that person supporting you in that? Or are they putting you down for it? Or are they even putting obstacles in your way? You're trying to eat healthy and they're constantly just telling you, oh, what's the use? You're just going to do X, Y, and Z. Or maybe they're not really supporting you in that, but they're either tearing you down, or making it seem like you'll never be able to attain the goal, no matter what the goal is. So in a healthy relationship, the other person would be supportive and they would encourage you in the things that you feel are important to you, okay? Would they drop everything if you needed something, or would they leave you hanging? And my husband, some of you know that I'm in a happy remarriage. So my husband, when we were dating, my dad got into a bad car accident, actually a motorcycle accident. And my husband had just left from my house, and he was driving an hour away, and he had to go to bed early because of work the next day. And as soon as I told him, my dad was in this motorcycle accident, he said, okay, I'm coming, I'll be there, and turn right around. And that was a sign to me that he really supported me. He wanted to be with me. And he cared about things like that. Okay. Another example of feeling supported is, does the other person expect you to do everything, to manage all the responsibility, and they don't contribute, or they do the bare minimum, or they make excuses for why they can't do more than they're doing? Okay. So do they see you over here juggling all these responsibilities, and they're content watching you juggle all those responsibilities without offering to help, or without offering to take something off your plate? So, in a healthy relationship, the other person would not want to see you scrambling over here, juggling all these balls while they don't contribute. They would want to take things off of your plate, and they would want to add some help to you. Okay. The verses that we've gone through apply to this also. You can apply them here. Okay. So let's recap the 3 easiest ways to tell if a relationship is toxic. Do you feel safe? So safety. Do you feel like you have freedom of speech? Okay. And do you feel supported? So in a healthy relationship, I feel safe and secure. I don't feel threatened in any way. Okay. In a healthy relationship, I feel like I can say anything, that I'm allowed to have opinions on topics. Even if the other person disagrees, I know that we'll be able to converse through it. We may have a conflict about it. We might need to work on something through that conflict. But all in all, I'm not afraid to share my opinion, right? And I feel valued. I'm not worried of what their reaction is going to be. And I know we'll be able to talk through it. And I have that freedom of speech in the relationship, okay? And in a healthy relationship, I feel supported. I feel like the other person is there for me, that they care for me, that they have my back, right? I know my husband is going to be there no matter what, because that's the character that he showed me all along. That's what he showed me when we were dating over and over and over again, was that he was going to be there. He had my back. He supported me, right? I know that he'll move mountains if he can, if I really need him to do something, or if I really need him by my side, okay? I know he will take care of me. I don't have any doubt that if something happened or whatever, I don't have any doubt that he wouldn't be there. I know and have security that he would be there and would help me. Okay. So if you found this video helpful, I would love for you to put a comment down below. I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel or give me a thumbs up. You can also find me on Facebook, and you'll be able to see that at the description of this video. All right. I will see you next time.